Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Karen girlfriend denied my marriage proposal as a joke, so I called the whole thing off. After that, am I the jerk for not treating my stepkids equally? And after that, am I the jerk for charging an 8-year-old rent? Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen doesn't get to deny a marriage proposal as a joke. If only I had denied it when you popped the question, Reddit boy. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Karen girlfriend denied my marriage proposal as a joke, so I called the whole thing off. I'm 25, female. My girlfriend, Molly, who's 26, for the last 6 months started a joke with me that I've already made clear that I don't like. It consists of her saying no quickly to anything I ask. I know it sounds silly, but I ask her to get a glass of water for me. She says no, and after 1 minute, I'm almost getting up, she says she's joking and gets some water. I ask her to wash the dishes. She says no. I say I love you. She says no. I ask her to take her clothes. She says no. Everything is joking, and after 30 seconds to a minute, she does it, but she's addicted to doing it. I've already made it clear several times that I don't like it, even more so in I love you. She's the only person I can say that to, so it's special to me. And there are things that are serious and I need her to answer seriously. And if she says no to everything jokingly, I can't tell when she's saying real no. It's happened before. I keep saying this is boring and I don't like it. She stops doing it and goes back to doing it after a week. After a brief discussion, because she played this prank in front of our friends, me asking, "Love, can you get me some medicine?" And she with, "No, kidding." She stopped doing it for 1 month. Yesterday, we welcomed my parents, in-laws, and 2 of our best friends to our house. Everyone knew that I was going to propose to her, and I called them because we always planned this proposal with our loved ones attending, participating in this special day. I asked her to marry me, and she said a quick no, and I was so grumpy, panicked, and upset, everyone looked in shock. For 30 seconds for her to laugh and say that she was joking, finally saying yes. I was so embarrassed and disappointed. I put the ring back in and said that I'd go take it out to cool off. I didn't even let her say anything. She kept texting me, not answering calls, saying it was just a joke and that I knew she always did that. She said that I left a difficult situation in the house because it was very clear that I had given up on proposing and did in front of my parents and in-laws. She stressed that I was making the situation uncomfortable because of a silly joke. Well, I slept in a hotel and I'm still in it. My parents supported me, but my in-laws are calling me the jerk for giving up on proposing, disproportionately humiliating their daughter. I just really think there's time for jokes, and that moment wasn't clearly. She knew I didn't like it and decided to do it anyway. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. Why would you sign up for this permanently? Not the jerk. I used to have a boyfriend who did something similar. Every time I wanted to talk about something serious, like something that happened in the world, something that happened at work, something in our relationship, whatever it was, he would always, with 1 minute, make a joke about the subject, trying to diffuse the situation of me telling him about something I cared about and thought about, and it made me feel sad, etc. I asked him to stop 1,000 times, and he always said, it's just him joking, and I shouldn't take things serious. I explained to him that this behavior made me feel like he takes nothing that concerns me serious, which he protested against and told me I try to make him look like a bad boyfriend. I tried doing it to him to make him see how it feels, and of course it would be a super drama because I would not take him seriously and I don't care about him. Yeah, right. Eventually I lost all respect and ended the relationship after 2.5 years. I couldn't and wouldn't take him seriously, and quite frankly, the disrespect towards me was making me feel grossed out by him, emotionally and physically. Of course, he complained, did not see this coming, why did I never say anything, etc. Not the jerk, and seriously, overthink this whole relationship. Girlfriend will not change, girlfriend does not respect your boundaries and feelings. She has shown you who she is, believe her. Move on and find someone who does. Not the jerk. Your girlfriend just learned a much needed lesson on why you don't joke and say no when you mean yes. And you're not making the situation uncomfortable because of a silly joke. She is. She knew you don't like it, and honestly, who would? That would annoy anyone, but she did it anyway. What next? Is she going to jokingly say no during your ceremony? Not the jerk. Out of all the things that are wrong from her side, one that stands out to me the most is that afterward she still puts the blame on you and doesn't even apologize. If you see that your partner is hurt by something you did, yes, even a joke, any well-adjusted human would apologize. Also, if other people are not laughing, I wouldn't even call it a joke. And you are correct to think that there is a time and a place for jokes. I can imagine how hurtful and embarrassing it was to hear the no to your proposal in front of your family. Such a jerk move. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or their girlfriend? Please let us know. Never stay with someone who doesn't respect you. You deserve better than that. Am I the jerk for not treating my stepkids equally? I started dating Daniel 2.5 years ago, and we got married last year. Daniel has 5 kids with his ex-wife. Ava, who's 11, Jason, who's 9, Isabella, who's 6, Sophia, who's 5, and Andrew, who's 3. Daniel's ex never liked Ava. She blames Ava for leaving her trapped in a relationship with her dad. When they got divorced, she said she didn't want anything to do with Ava. Ava was 8 at the time. Ava's mom leaving but having a relationship with her siblings really took a toll on her. The weeks Ava's siblings were with their mom were the hardest because it was a constant reminder that her mom loved her siblings and not her. She would barely get out of bed those weeks, so around 2 years ago, I surprised her with a day trip to the beach. We got ice cream, we went boogie boarding, went out to eat, and went shopping. It was the first time I'd seen her smile in weeks. I noticed it was helping Ava, so we started to go out more and more. When her siblings are here, it's something small, like dinner before therapy. But when they're not here, we go camping, we go hiking, we try new restaurants, we go back to the beach, etc. And she loves it. I don't spend nearly as much one-on-one time with the other 4 kids for 2 reasons. These kids already have a mom that loves them, and they don't need it as much. It's so much easier to do anything with 1 kid than 5. When I spend time with Ava, I stick her in my Honda and we go. When I have all 5 kids, we take a big passenger van and they fight over everything. It takes twice as long to go somewhere because I keep having to pull over and break up a fight. I do take all 5 kids out 1 to 2 times a week when they're with us, but it's not usually a big trip like what I go on with Ava. We'll go to the beach 20 minutes away instead of the one almost 2 hours away. We'll go on the walking trail by our house instead of a 4-mile hike. Sometimes we have picnics in the park. The big thing this summer is the amusement park. I'll take all of the kids with their dad or their nanny. We go on some rides together. Then one of us will take the older 2 to go on all of the scary rides that they want to go on, while the other takes the younger 3 to go on the smaller rides. Then we meet up at the water park. We've done this at least once a week this summer. Recently, my husband asked me to start taking the younger 4 on day trips like the kind Ava and I go on, because they're starting to get jealous. I said I'll try to plan more fun activities, but my trips with Ava aren't suitable for all 5 kids. He said I should try to treat the kids equally and either not take Ava or take everybody. I said I will when he takes all 5 kids camping or on a 5-mile hike by himself. He called me a bad stepmom, so I wanted to know if I was the jerk. Not the jerk. Why doesn't their father do as much for his kids as you do? I think, given the circumstances, you're not doing anything wrong here, aside from the misleading title. OP. Their dad works a lot and travels a lot for work. They are his responsibility, and he should make time to be with them. He knows how his ex is treating Ava, and you're supporting Ava, but he's demanding that you stop? He is not being a good father. The kids aren't equal. The other 4 have a mother. Ava only has you. Crazily enough, you got yourself in the position where you're Ava's adoptive mom and stepmom to the others. In fact, even though it may make the issues worse, I might suggest you look into legally adopting Ava. That way you have rights to her if you and your husband don't work out. Not the jerk, OP. Your husband is callous and ridiculous. You need to have a serious talk, one-on-one with the others. See if you can nip this complaining in the bud. If he's telling the truth and this isn't originating with the ex as another way to mess with Ava. This is great advice. You and Ava are forming a very strong bond and adopting her makes sense. Plus, adoption protects her from being ripped away from another important caregiver in the event of a separation or divorce. Well, what do you think? Should OP only take the kids on a trip if all of them can go or not? Please let us know. Taking 5 kids out on a trip? I think that'd be enough to make my head explode. Am I the jerk for charging an 8-year-old rent? I really don't think I'm the jerk, but hear me out. He gets an allowance every week. This is for helping with the dishes, cleaning his room, and being tidy. Nothing crazy. His allowance is $25, so $100 a month. However, I want to charge the boy $20 a month for living expenses, leaving him $80. His mother thinks there's something wrong with this and that he's young, so his money should be his. My intention is to teach him about money management, as that's something that's very important to me. I have not thought about consequences if he can't pay the rent. There likely wouldn't be any. I'm available for any additional info. Edit. I am the stepfather. I can increase his allowance, but I don't think that's what makes me the jerk. I'm working, but I'll thoroughly look through the responses. I appreciate the feedback. Edit 2. Off of work now. Alright, I'm the jerk. I'm going to give the kid an allowance as I planned anyway. He can save for big purchases for himself, and we can talk about the fun stuff when he's older. I have a savings account for him already that I put money into. I appreciate the caring Redditors messaging me about calling the authorities and asking for my information. I'm glad to know you care, but that won't be necessary. I had a bad idea. I thought it was fun and everyone would win. I would like to thank you all, and I hope that you have a wonderful end to your Wednesday. The vitriol is really strong here. For clarity, father's out of the picture. I'm not stealing from his mother, and I'm providing the allowance. Besides, I've already changed my mind. Wife will have a good time reading this when she gets home. Edit 5. You are all correct in that I didn't think of the implications of taking from my son and the emotional damage that could cause or anxiety within him. That's the last thing I want. Edit. She knew I was the jerk, but feels like I set myself up for failure with this post. She's laughed until she cried, so thank you for that. Yes, this was a real idea I had and a real conversation I had with my spouse. That's not plural. I wasn't pushing anything. And clearly, there wasn't foresight in it. I hope all the parents here can learn from the comments, because truthfully, I feel like we're all just winging raising kids, and no one knows for sure what's in their best interest sometimes. There's more than one way to cook an egg, so to speak. All we can do is learn from each other and our experiences. You're the jerk for charging rent. However, having him put that money into a savings account where he could see it grow would be a better lesson. And $25 a week at 8? Lucky kid. You're the jerk. If you want to teach him the value of money and saving, continue paying him for his chores and teach him how to save and budget for things he might want. Show him how to save a percentage of his allowance and track it. There are so many more age-appropriate ways to teach your kid how to manage their money. Illegally charging them rent should never be considered one of them. My parents did crap like this to teach me money management. Guess what it taught me instead? That all interactions with my parents are monetized, that they don't actually care about me, and that I can't trust them. That's the only thing they understand is money. My father is now passed, and I barely talked to him when he was sick. I essentially do not speak to my mother. She only initiates conversations with me at this point about, shocker, money. You would be the jerk. I can see how you think this is well-intentioned, but please reconsider and think about other options for helping him learn. You're the jerk. He's 8, and he's legally entitled to a place to live. He should not have had the least or slightest worry about his living costs. There are lots of ways to teach kids to manage money. Talk to him about budgeting and saving. Identify things he wants that he can work for over time. Have age-appropriate discussions of how you manage household income and expenses. Absolutely do not charge kids rent. ETA. One way to teach kids to manage money is to not give an 8-year-old $100 a month. I don't know what your expectations are on that $100. That may mean you pay directly for more school lunches, day camp field trips, etc. Well, what do you think? Would OP be the jerk for charging his 8-year-old rent or not? Please let us know. I made $5 a week when I was little if I did my chores. What about you? Please tell us in the comments. If that's what you really want, Karen. Once upon a time, I was working a seasonal retail job at a craft store chain. It's important to note that for the purposes of their sales, lighted tree toppers, lighted decorations, string lights, etc. were all separate categories. On this fateful day, lighted tree toppers were on sale for 30% off. The rest of the lighted decor on that aisle was not. The sales were very clearly marked and the sections designated clearly, as well as the category printed on the package itself. It's even listed on the email that Karen was using to present her coupon. Karen approaches my register with her tree topper. The register recognizes the discounts and applies them automatically in most instances, this being no exception. The 30% applies itself. Your total will be $18.90. Karen then presents her 20% off coupon. I'm sorry, ma'am, this coupon is not applicable to sale items. Those aren't on sale. The lights aren't on sale this week. I show the copy of our sale bulletin on my counter. I apologize for the confusion, ma'am. This actually falls under the tree topper category. You'll see here it's 30% off. I won't be able to apply the coupon, but you will be getting the already discounted sale price. I'm telling you, I don't want any sale. You're going to take my coupon. I should probably mention she was in at least once weekly, yelled about sales and coupons every single time, and then declared she was never coming back, only to be back the following week to do the same. Ma'am, I would have to manually override the sale price and apply the coupon manually as well. Then do it. I'm telling you, it's not on sale, and I'm using my coupon, or I am reporting you. Yes, ma'am, if you insist. I got visual confirmation from my supervisor in the way of a hand signal we used to mean, go ahead. She was not too happy when I did exactly as she demanded, and her total came to $21.60. You're stealing from me. I demand to speak to a manager. I'm never coming back here again. My shift supervisor had been on the next register over the whole time to combat the afternoon rush. That's how she managed to give the visual approval in the moment. She took great joy herself in telling Karen, you have the exact discounted price you demanded. You can pay for it or leave. Oh, you're never coming back? Do you promise? Karen paid her $21.60 with her head hung. She was back next week. Am I the jerk for publicly telling my biological father that if he wanted to act like my dad, then he had until I was 32 to do so? My mother passed a few months after I was born. My biological father, Dan, stayed for the first 6 years of my life, but he ended up remarrying and moving with his new wife across the country. He left me with my grandparents. Dan would, at best, visit every biannually. He would show up in the morning with some treats and video games for me, talk with me about life, then he would be gone after dinner. Dan's visits became less frequent as I got older. I have many memories of my grandparents calling Dan when they thought I was asleep. They would beg Dan to visit me more or bring me with him to Georgia because a boy needs his father. I still adored Dan and saw him as my hero for many years. Dan stopped visiting me after I tried to ruin his marriage with my selfishness. Dan didn't call me to wish me a happy 13th birthday, so I called him over and over, hoping that he just didn't want to wake me up because of the time difference. His wife, Sarah, answered the phone. Sarah was actually a very sweet lady, and I discovered Sarah didn't even know I existed. Dan told Sarah that he had been visiting California on business and how he was childless. Dan screamed at me later, saying how I deliberately tried to ruin his marriage and how selfish I was to always demand his time. After that point, Dan stopped visiting me, and I view him as nothing more than a donor to me. I live a pretty good life. My job is nothing to brag about in terms of being fun, but it's honest work and pays well. My wonderful wife and I have a daughter, Harper, who is the joy of my life. I tried not to think about Dan until I started getting notifications on social media. I did not think Dan had social media. We also have a very generic surname, so I did not worry about us finding each other. Dan left comments on almost all of our posts about Harper, from her last day of second grade to the newborn pictures. His comments all said how beautiful and bright his granddaughter was. I messaged Dan, telling him he has no right to act like Harper's grandfather and to stay away from my family. He replied that Harper was his granddaughter and he gave me life, so I owe him some respect. I warned him again and blocked him. I made a post the other day, and Dan, on his second account, made a comment about how Harper gets her good looks from her grandpa. I replied to Dan that if he wanted to act like my dad, he had until I was 32 to do so, and he has no right to pretend he's some great father and grandfather when he moved across the country and left me with my grandparents at 6. I blocked Dan again. I learned secondhand that Dan is being shamed online and will likely delete his account soon. Family members said I was right about Dan, but calling him out online was not the mature way to handle things. I realized I could have just blocked him, but for me, you don't get to ditch your kid and then swoop in to act like a family man now that it suits you. Am I the jerk? Edit. My wife and I are now setting all of our social media to private. Not the jerk. This man pretended you didn't exist for most of your life, and I'm sorry at how harsh that sounds. What right does he now have to dance into your life and try to claim your daughter? You ruined his marriage? Nah, mate. He ruined it himself by keeping you a secret from his wife. His beautiful granddaughter? Oh no. He has no claim on your kids after disowning you. Am I the jerk for cutting someone off financially because they were acting entitled? I, 25 female, have an average paying job, doing body piercings, so earn enough to live off. My friend, Lottie, 24 female, who I had been friends with since I was little, did not come from a financially fortunate family and has no job. Extra info: no disabilities, mental disorders, or anything at all to stop her from working. Plus, she has a public transport pass. So ever since I got a job, 16 years old, I supported her financially, treating her to meals and trying to help her avoid takeaways for her well-being. I even paid clothes for her. When she was 18, I paid for 1/4 of her apartment rent and hair salon appointments. Keep in mind, she's on government benefits. This continued, which is absolutely fine, and she always told me she liked the unemployed life as the reason she didn't work. All was okay until No, it doesn't sound like it was all okay. All was okay until I officially started making more money. 21 years old. I began treating her to more designer clothes and shoes, but nothing like Gucci or Chanel, as a treat for being a good friend. She began to meet a few friends, whom of which never knew her financial situation, I presume, and would only wear her best designer clothes around them and high heels and jewelry. I was happy she was wearing them confidently. She started to ask me to bring her friends over to my house a lot. I do not know these people, met a few times, but not introduced properly, and I was okay with that as I know she was a bit insecure, until it became every single week. One night, she asked to throw a quiet, casual gathering at my house while I was at my boyfriend's, which I was entirely fine with. Well, what do I come back to? Beer bottles everywhere, my stuff thrown about the place, my cat scared, my clothes ripped, and multiple of my practice piercing ears ripped. They even made a mess on my bathroom floor. I collected my cats and briefly went to the bedroom, which thank goodness had a lock, whilst waiting for everyone to leave. I heard Lottie and her friend talk. Lottie was talking about how she was grateful that her friends came to her house and that Lottie was making 60,000 pounds a year. She said something along the lines of, "Yes, if you ever need any designer clothes, let me know and I'll buy you some." And that's how I found out all the designer clothes she didn't wear that I bought her were given to her friends, all of whom have jobs. So when everyone left, I was furious. I stormed at her and shouted, "Give me my stuff back and get a job. I will not be supplying for you at all, and I want my stuff back. You're an adult and grown up enough to stop acting like I'm your mummy." She refused to give me my stuff back, so I told her if she didn't give me my stuff back, I would tell her friends about it all. So she obliged and started acting the victim by saying, "But I don't want to work." So I told her to get out, and she did. I spent 3 hours cleaning my place, and 2 weeks later I'm still friends with her, but getting calls from her begging to have money. Everyone in my life thinks I'm a jerk for this update. We aren't friends anymore. Not the jerk. She's a lifelong mooch and not your friend. You have no responsibility for her life and financial situation. You never did. Of course she likes the unemployed life and doesn't want to work. She's getting a free ride off of the government and your hard work. I will say you did kind of set yourself up for this by feeding into her mooching behavior since childhood. But you're both adults now, and able-bodied adults have to work whether we want to or not. That's just life. You really would be doing yourself a favor to cut ties with her and anyone else who doesn't see what an ungrateful leech she is out of your life, and find better friends who truly appreciate when you decide to treat them and don't just constantly have their palms out for your money. Why are you posting here and asking if you're the jerk if you're still friends with her? I'm sorry, but this does make you the jerk. Stop enabling her. She's grown. Honestly, I don't even understand why you've been supporting her all this time, even after she said, "I just like the unemployed life." That should have been your red flag right there. How did you not know she was taking advantage of you with that statement? OP, you're young and really naive. Please put your foot down and cut this person out completely. Grad student told me to do things their way. So here's the context. Some years ago, I worked at a cruise ship doing souvenir photography. It was my second summer there, and we had a new manager that year that was finishing her master's in photography, standard, not digital. Pay was based on a group split commission. So if the day photographers did terrible, but the night photographers did amazing, the day photographers benefited, and vice versa. My first year, the owner stopped by to train us and give us specific instructions on how we should photograph guests and why we should be doing it, and saw an increase in sales as a result of it. The owner has been doing it for years and ran multiple locations, So I just listened and did what I was told. Fast forward to year 2. We have this new manager who had not been trained yet, but only received basic instructions and was told to defer to the returning employees for things she didn't understand. For the first couple of weeks, it was fine. Slow start to this season, so sales of course weren't crazy. Come week 5, when night crews start, I noticed that myself and my only male coworker are both being scheduled for mornings. At first I thought, whatever, free at nights, no big deal. I figured since the new manager was working with a returning employee, things would be okay for commission on the night cruise days. First week of night cruises go by, and I notice I made drastically less than last year for the amount of hours I worked. I checked the sales spreadsheet. Every employee needed to update this at the end of their shift, and noticed that day sales were the same as night sales. I ran up to the ticket office to check the passenger list for the days that ran night cruises, assuming that there's just too many passengers. I ran up to the ticket office to check the passengers list for the days they ran night cruises, assuming there just weren't many passengers. Not only were there way more passengers at night than during the day, but I noticed way more waste. Second week, I have a split shift that overlaps with the manager. She pulls me to the side at the beginning of the shift and explains her expectations for photos. She shows me an example of hers and then shows me one I took. She told me that the way I took photos was unacceptable and I had to shoot them the way she did. These photos, by the way, get put into 8x6 sheets and small wallet-sized photos. Her photo was, highly technical, let's say. The entire top half of the photo was negative space and showing off the location. Yeah, sure, I kind of get what she was saying because I was in school for photography too. Too bad we're selling pictures of people and not space. I explained to her that myself and my coworkers have been shooting the way the owner instructed us to, and she said, "I'm the manager here, not you. I don't know what he told you to do, and that's not what we're doing. Do it the way I tell you to, okay?" The third week, I explained to my coworker that this is what the manager wanted, and he was confused as well. So we do it. We take these photos where the passengers are barely visible in the wallet photos, and half of the photos are negative space. Sales plummeted to no surprise from anyone but the manager and owner. I got a call from the owner asking if there were fewer passengers or something, and told him that it was normal. He asked why sales were down at night as well, to which I told him I had no idea because I was never scheduled to work at night anymore. He wasn't sure how to take that, but we left it at that. The next week, the owner called me to inform me that the new manager had agreed to mutually terminate her employment there, and then asked why we were having so much trouble. I told him everything she told us to do, and that scheduling was bad since it left us understaffed for night cruises. It turns out she was instructed to hire new employees for the season, and she ignored every single applicant because they had no formal photography education. So basically, knowing full well it would hurt sales to not tell the owner that the manager just wasn't good at sales photography, I just waited until she got in trouble for turning up losses because she pulled, "You do what I say, I don't care." Sorry, Jay. My ex, Karen, cheated on me and wants me to pretend I'm the father. I, 38 male, had a fight with my ex-wife, 41 female, about her kid, Sam, who's 7, and need an opinion from the outside. We have one son together, Jake, who's 9. Sam is not mine. Our divorce was caused by my wife's infidelity, and I told her up front as she was pregnant I will never take any responsibility for Sam, not emotionally or financially. However, I have figured my emotions out and got them in order to protect my son, Jake. That includes I accept Sam as his little half-brother and allow him on special events to visit me and Jake. Our custody agreement is clear. Every second weekend, Jake visits his mom. So my son had his birthday last month where I allowed Sam and X to visit and celebrate with us. It wasn't something big because of the lockdown, just about 15 people, Jake's friends and some family members. Sam loves to mimic Jake, and as he saw him calling me dad, he started to call me dad too. I've spoken with him calmly that I don't want to be called dad by him, but he is allowed to call me by my name. As he had asked why, I explained that he is not my child and I am not his dad. Also, he asked me who his father is, and I responded that I didn't know. He then ran to my ex and asked who his father was. My ex sent him back to ask me. I just told him that his mom doesn't know it either, but I am not his dad, and again, he should call me by my name. However, on this day, nothing happened after my ex tried to pull this crappy move on me. I just ignored it. The problem is, Sam has told this also to his school friends, as the class have played a game where they talk about their family. I have to say that some of the kids there are pure evil. Some of Sam's classmates have started bullying him, calling him names and worse. My ex called me about it, told her that she has to fight over this with Sam's teacher and the other kids' parents, but it's not my problem. She then started to yell at me on the phone that it was my fault kids are calling him names. I respond that I noticed what she tried to pull at Jake's birthday party, and this actually wouldn't exist if she hadn't had cheated, and told her she should try to find Sam's actual father if she wants a man to take care of her son. Ex involved our parents in this fight. Now my mom is nagging me over this and sides with my ex. However, I was not gentle with her either when she called me. Notice, my mom wanted a daughter ever since and saw my wife as her first daughter. That's why I'm in low contact with her, because she tried to force me to forgive my ex. Here's why I might be the jerk. My son has picked up on this whole mess and is now mean to his little brother and rejects to play with him and teases him as well. I've actually made an appointment with a therapist to solve this, but I don't think I can solve it on my own. Am I the jerk here? Edit. I can't be the father of Sam, medically impossible. Also, a court-ordered paternity test confirmed that I am not the father. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.